Hi everyone, Rod Armande, Immigration and Personal Injury Attorney, here with a number of different immigration updates on TPS, registration, SIJS Deferred Action, issuance of Social Security cards, and other enforcement trends and other updates, okay? So starting out with registration, April 11th was when you were required to start registering if you're somebody who has not previously been registered. Now they've put a tool online that's called Do I Need to Register? I wouldn't necessarily trust this tool, and I would consult with an attorney to see if you're already registered or do you need to register, and then the pros and cons if you do need to register. USCIS is issuing courtesy notices to indicate prior registration for people, but keep in mind registration is an enforcement tool. It is not an immigration benefit. So by registering, you're not receiving anything. It's just it's an enforcement tool. So assessing risks of registration, for many that have no pathway to status and are undocumented, risks include detention, deportation, and criminal liability. For those submitting applications for status, failure to register may lead to discretionary denials. There are isolated reports of prosecution for failure to register, failure to carry proof of registration. These are isolated reports. We will have to wait and see how this develops and if there will be more. As far as the self-deportation procedure or incentive that was recently announced, it is basically a travel assistance. They will give you $1,000 upon departure, and it deprioritizes you from enforcement. Now, this requires communication through the CBP home app. Leaving is not a deportation unless there is a prior order. So if you have a prior removal order and you leave, well, then that's going to count as a deportation. So there's other ways as well, and there's other consequences to leaving. So it's very important that you consult with an immigration attorney before you decide to take this option, because it can have consequences for 10 years or more upon departure from the United States. IRS and DHS are sharing data together. That's another update. Issuance of Social Security cards. No longer will just checking the box on your employment authorization form and other forms that you can basically check a box and say, I want a Social Security card. No longer will just checking that off result in you receiving a Social Security card. So you need to go online now and submit an application, and then make an appointment and actually go to a Social Security administration office, and then you can get your Social Security card. So we expect delays at Social Security Administration office given increased demand for appointments to have your Social Security card issued. SIJS Deferred Action, so Special Immigrant Juvenile Status, if you've received that through a family court order or probate court order, and now you maybe are waiting for the priority date, so the visa becomes available so that you can then file for an adjustment of status of green card application, that there is no more deferred action for those individuals, meaning that technically they could be removed. There is reports of people who previously had deferred action issued in their case having that now terminated. USCIS form updates, there's a number of different forms that require a new version as of May 29th, 2025, including the 589, the 821, 90, 765, 821D, and the N565. So make sure you're sending in the updated form. You can see the date and the version on the website. All that information is on USCIS websites for each and every form. Recent trends to watch for: ICE detained USCIS children with their parents. We have recently a mother with special needs who took two of her children who were in the process, and they were detained and deported. So we are seeing arrests of people with removal orders at I-130 interviews at USCIS field office. is, and also we're seeing arrests of just people with certain types of arrests that don't necessarily make them ineligible to receive their green card, but they're being arrested and being placed in removal proceedings. A lot of these individuals will be able to get their green card before an immigration judge. So, but that's the trend. So, Real ID updates effective May 7th. However, there was an announcement that you could technically still travel without a real ID, but you're going to be subject to additional screening, and you should expect delays. There is also a report that ICE will begin filing motions to recalendar cases that were administratively closed by a judge. So in the last several years, there was a number of different cases going back to your case could be as old as 5, maybe 2 or 3, or maybe 10 years old, and it's been administratively closed. Well, it could be reopened, so make sure your address is updated. If you had an attorney who assists you with that, reach out to them or reach out to a new attorney to investigate and figure out how to stay on top of this in case your case does get recalendared. There's obviously a birthright citizenship case before Supreme Court that oral arguments were scheduled for today, May 15th. I don't have any updates. I believe the oral arguments have already been completed as of the time that I'm recording this video. Later, we should have more updates on that. Now, as far as TPS updates, we know that TPS for Afghanistan was terminated effective July 14th. We know that TPS for Cameroon should be terminated. We expect a date to be announced soon by DHS. There is pending litigation, so we'll have to see how that develops. TPS for Haiti also was extended and redesignated through February 3rd, 2026, and TPS for South Sudan was auto-extended through November 3rd, 2025. TPS for Venezuela, depending on 2021 designation or 2023 designation, they were extended as well. You can go online and see the extensions for those. But that is basically all the updates I have, guys. If any of this applies to you, this is obviously not attorney advice. If you leave a comment, I'll answer general questions. But if you have specific questions, please reach out to me at rodarmandelaw.com or reach out to another immigration attorney and make sure that you're receiving sound advice and you're making informed decisions. Take care, guys, and stay tuned for more updates.